Thank you for staying with us, everyone. President Bola Tinubu has formally nominated Christopher Musa as Nigeria's new Minister of Defense, following the resignation of the previous minister, Abubakar Badaru. Christopher Musa, who until recently served as Chief of Defense Staff, had retired from that post in October 2025 as part of a broader reshuffle. The decision comes at a time when Nigeria is grappling with serious security challenges marked by rising violence, kidnappings, and a nationwide security emergency declared by the government. By elevating someone with military leadership experience to head the Defense Ministry, the president appears to be signaling a tougher, more coordinated approach to addressing the security crisis. Tonight, let's speak with my guest, Dennis Amachree, security consultant, former assistant director, Department of State Security. And I'm also expecting Dr. Tony Ofoyetan, Director General, International Institute of Professional Security. And I hope he's able to join me before the end of this program. But let's kick off with Mr. Amachree. He joins me virtually from the United States of America. Mr. Amachree, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining me at this time. Thank you.
Good evening.
So, interesting development, you would say. Mr. President has gotten a replacement for the Minister of Defense, Abubakar Badaru, who has just resigned. You know, that was a man most Nigerians believed did not live up to expectation, alongside his Minister of State, Bello Matawalle. One, they say they're not experienced, they're not knowledgeable, and have refused to learn on the job. And you know, we've had this conversation before now, and I was curious to know if experience or knowledge is required in that position. And I remember you were very diplomatic about your response that particular day. But 4 days ago, I was speaking with a stakeholder from the North who says, it's high time Mr. President stopped compensating these politicians with these sensitive positions. According to them, these positions are not for politicians who lost out or were defeated in previous elections. But sadly, he had to resign on health grounds. And, you know, we wish him all the best. But there is a nominee. The first question is, why was General Musa nominated, from your own perspective?
Well, thank you very much. Just like you said, we cannot politicize security. And most of these appointments, you can know, you know, because of politicization. You know, the role of Minister of Defense is too critical to be filled by anyone lacking deep expertise. You know, so this position is the linchpin of our democracy, encouraging civilian control of the military, and then, of course, people who can act as the principal defense policy advisor to the president. You know, and when you cannot do that, for all the security problems we're having in the country right now, you'll find out that the person occupying that position is not fit, because if the person is fit, then we shouldn't be having this problem. And so you need somebody who can control the military, that is Army, Navy, Air Force, and then, of course, have a very good relationship with other security agencies. And I think this particular appointment, I think is right, because this particular person knows about the field, and of course is coming to an administrative position, which I think he will do very well.
Do you think Mr. President considered public sentiment in nominating him?
No, not him. I don't think there's any public sentiment. I think he suits, is very, very well qualified to do that. Sentiments aside, he has the experience, he has the expertise, you know, and I think the president has done well in appointing somebody like that.
And, you know, interestingly, while you were speaking, I was also, you know, thinking about the possibility of interpreting this appointment as the president responding to national pressure to fix insecurity. Because on the other hand, how common is it for Nigerian president to factor public sentiment into top military appointment? But again, Mr. Amachree, we must not forget that Mr. President is considered a listening president, and that was why I asked you if you thought he had considered public sentiment in nominating him. Does appointing another...
Well, a lot of people...
Right.
Sorry,
Please
a
go
lot
ahead,
of
sir.
people thought that... a lot of people thought that when they saw the resignation of the former minister and then the visit of the Chief of Defense Staff at the villa, many people were putting one and one together. And if you watch the media and everywhere, you will see that people were second guessing it. And I think the president had already made up his mind before this particular nomination. It was not because of public sentiments that made him to, appoint General Musa.
Right, and I wanted to ask, does appointing another military officer rather than a civilian reinforce and healthy militarization of Nigeria's security architecture? Are there any risk, or what risk, if at all, does this pose for long-term defense reforms and some level of democratic oversight?
Well, you know that the person occupying that position, even if it's a civilian, must have some background in military administration before he can occupy it. Basically, we are looking at strategic leadership, command and control, readiness, and to guarantee that the military is properly equipped, trained, and prepared to decisively do what they are supposed to do. So it is one that you just don't, because it is a civilian position, you put somebody who is a civilian. In the United States here, we are having problems also because many people are disagreeing with Pete Hegseth, who was not a military man, but he's been appointed as the Minister of War, which was their Minister of Defense. And a lot of people are all already trying to complain about the way he's handling that particular department. But all depends on the commander-in-chief, because if he decides to appoint anybody, the important part of it is that that person must relate very well with the military, all the arms of the armed forces to succeed.
All right. Dr. Ofoyetan, let me bring you on to this conversation. Barely 2 months into retirement, CDS Musa has been called back into service. What exactly do you make of this nomination? Does this signal a shift in how the president intends to handle national security going forward?
Thank you very much for having me, and a very big greetings to my boss, Dennis Amachree. I remember I said a lot of things relating to that this morning. I happen to be one of the strong advocates of bringing a core military officer to head the Ministry of Defense for now. The issue is not whether he's a politician or... For now, we don't need those type of people at anything that has to do with security for now, all over the country. Should be occupied by core professionals. When I say core professionals, I mean core professionals, because Nigeria, as it were, if I don't want to sound petrifying, I would have said Nigeria is actually in a state of war. And you would have seen it from a lot of activities that have been going on. Within the past 2 days, there have been a lot of attack within Oyo State, Osun State, and the like. Kidnapping attempt and all those stuff like that. Kwara State is not resting. You don't even have to mention the 19 states in the north. They all have similar challenges with the exception of very few. It's either Boko Haram, Lakorawa, and Saru, or the bandits, whatever you call them. So we need this tough-handed kinetic approach for now. Before you talk about non-kinetic approach, the first thing is let the military establish its superiority. It's superiority in every aspect. So bringing Musa, I know very well that the CDS did excellently well as CDS. Many people may not know, but I can tell you that he's been CDS gave Kaduna State some level of respite and rest, as it were, all through his period as the Chief of Defense Staff. Now bringing him as Minister of Defense, knowing full well that one as it is, none of the service chiefs will be able to, downplay whatever he is going to say, because you are talking of somebody who has been there. He has been a theater, an operational officer ab initio. So the terrain is not novel to him. He is from Kaduna State. Kaduna has been a very restive state. So when you talk about somebody that understands the field very well, I think Musa happened to fall within that category of people. So if Mr. President had made up his mind that this man should be the person to do the job, the best I expect is that other service chiefs should give him the maximum support. And of course, the political class should, as much as possible, just remove their mind, remove their eyes from the Ministry of Defense and its activities, and let them do what they know how to do best, which is to ensure security at every level in the country. I also expect that Mr. President will also give the political backing, because appointing him is one thing. Another thing is giving him that political backing, because I can assure you that in the next few days, you are going to be having either responses that may not be advanced. They want to look at his approach now. They want to look at whether he's going to come all out. Then those that are sympathetic to the act of terrorism in Nigeria will not begin to shout, begin to make a noise and all those stuff like that. They can begin to tell you propaganda story and all those stuff. But if Mr. President is able to put cotton wool in his ears and if possible blindfold his eyes to what the military would do at the charter of operation and say, all I want is clear these idiots out of the forest and all those stuff like that, no matter who politician or religious leader is saying anything, just pretend as if you did not hear or you did
Dr.
not know.
Ofoyetan, let me quickly come in here. I mean, interagency collaboration got better with the retired service chiefs, which CDS Musa was a part of. But now in another capacity, there are concerns about how he would be able to, manage coordination failures between the military, police, DSS, and the NSCDC, which many say worsen insecurity. What structural reforms would truly fix these gaps? That is he capable of driving them?
No, you see, in terms of interagency coordination, that is the responsibility of NSA. So if there's a failure in that aspect, then NSA should be held responsible. NSA is the hub that warehouses all security agencies in the country. NSA has the responsibility to coordinate all security agencies in the country. NSA has the responsibility to call to order any of the agencies that is not working symbiotically with others. So if any of those agencies are going trajectorily to what used to be, and it did not do the needful, then of course, I think that Mr. President should begin to think of what to do as far as the office of the NSA is concerned. So the NSA now has to, come all out to prove its professional capability. If not so, I think it's advisable that it throws in the towel.
Mr. Amachree, let me come back to you. And I'm just here wondering what you think his top 3 priorities should be in his first 90 days and why. And also because it looks like President Tinubu listened to Nigerians on social media. That's the conversation in some quarters because CDS Musa is loved. What benchmarks should the public use to evaluate his performance after 6 months?
Anyway, yes, when you look at it, the NSA himself know this. They've worked together before. They've worked together before he retired. And then one thing I know again is that for him getting out and looking from outside must have seen things that he would have wanted to do when he was inside. And then, of course, the initial, things that he need to do right now is to support, because I think that's basically the job of the Minister of Defense. He's the one doing the budget. And like Tony Ofoyetan was saying, that the president should give him a political backing, he should also give him the economic backing. Because that budget, must be given to them to do what they have to do. Sometimes it is declared in the National Assembly, but they don't get the budget. The budget does not trickle down to them, all of it. You know, it is the highest budget that we're having. And then to manage it, I think the minister should be in a very good position. He knows the needs of the armed forces, and he can, you know, manage it properly. And what he can do right now, the first things he can do is to support them to make sure that the killings stop, the kidnappings stop. And then, of course, I'm happy that we have this ginger that came into play, which is the ginger that President Trump has brought to Nigeria. There are a lot of wins right now, a lot of wins. Forget about all the kidnappings that are spiking up. They are just trying to kidnap people to use as human shield. But I think there are a lot of wins. And of course, if there's a coordination between the forces, which I'm sure the Minister of Defense can do now, I think we're heading towards some success.
Let me stay with you, Mr. Amachree. And I mean, talking about some of the initiatives he had in mind before retirement, I remember that it was in June. General Musa says Nigeria needs a comprehensive database of its citizens and foreigners to enable it to track and arrest criminals within its territorial space. You know, he was also calling for border fencing to curb terrorism. What is your assessment of that proposal for border fencing as a counterterrorism measure? Okay,
I didn't agree with him.
Oh.
I did not agree with him, and I think I wrote about it in some newspapers that you cannot fence the border. The border is too wide, and then, of course, fencing. It's an old idea, you know, that even the Chinese used, you know, by building the Great Wall of China. Right now, technology is what you're going to use. And I'm sure the new minister will respond to that because, of course, we're in the age of technology, and then there is no need to start building walls. Even the one that President Trump tried to build between Mexico and the United States has been abandoned after spending billions of dollars, you know. So I don't think the wall was a very good idea. So I think he has to invest more in technology. The war has shifted from even fighter jets to drones of all kinds, predator drones, surveillance drones, ISR, you know, with drones that collect intelligence, do surveillance, and of course, reconnaissance. These are the things that I expect him to invest in to win the war.
All right, let me go back to Dr. Ofoyetan. I need his insight on this particular conversation. Dr. Ofoyetan, how effective are physical border fences in reducing terrorism and cross-border criminal activities? Are Nigeria's borders suitable for large-scale fencing when you also consider their geography and length?
I think the first question should be, which type of fencing are we talking about that cannot be breached?
Okay.
Is it going to be bomb-proof? Is it going to be dynamite-proof? Now, if the answer is no, then it is not fit for purpose. But if it's going to be bomb-proof, if it's going to be dynamite-proof, then I will say yes. Unfortunately, I don't think it will be any of those. So like the MON said, for now, the issue of border fencing, it's good because it can be restrictive to unintentional criminals that are not determined. Yes, it can deter them. But you are talking about fighting against terrorists that have all manner of weapons, all manner of dynamite, all manner of bombs, IEDs and the like, that can blow off the fence. And can, even without blowing up the fence, what are we talking about? It's just a little passage they need. create a little hole in the fence to give them access in and out. And that's all. That means the essence of, as we speak today, the Nigerian customs and immigration rather, they are fighting against, identifying and being able to access more than 2,000 illegal routes in the country. So the issue of talking about fencing of the whole nation, because that will be the implication, fencing of the whole nation may be extremely expensive. And of course, at the end of the day, the purpose of that fences will be defeated because it will be sabotaged, it will be destroyed, it will be vandalized, it will still not meet the expected purpose. So I don't think that it's a veritable idea, as it were. Like we had now, even the American one, which was basically for immigration control and all those stuff, has been abandoned. There are a lot of technology is a major thing that can be used. We have drones that can move as much as 5,000 kilometers from where you are. So these are things that government should invest in
also,
rather than talk about that.
There are those who have also said this shake-up must go beyond the Ministry of Defense. But at this point, we must take a break, and when we return, we'll delve into that. But it's also important to say that when we return, this conversation continues on our other platforms. Stay with us, everyone. Thank you for staying with us, everyone. President Tinubu nominates General Musa as the new defense minister. And I have two gentlemen on the program tonight. Dennis Amachree, security consultant, former assistant director, Department of State Security, who joins us virtually from the USA. Also on the program is Dr. Tony Ofoyetan, DG, International Institute of Professional Security. Both men are helping us project and also speak to the task ahead of the ministerial nominee. Gentlemen, thank you very much for staying with us on the program. Let me continue with Mr. Amachree, because this is a conversation I had with Dr. Ofoyetan. So this shake-up, I mean, some Nigerians have said this shake-up must go beyond the Ministry of Defense. It was just last week, another security consultant, Dr. Kabir, was on the program, and he justified why Mr. President must do a competency check on the 5 strategic heads that make up the 42 organizations within the security sector. He was looking at the Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Police Affairs, Office of the NSA, and many Nigerians believe the Ministry of Police Affairs has been largely ineffective. Mr. Amachree, from your own perspective, what explains this dormancy?
Yes, many times we think of security, we are thinking of the military and then, of course, police and DSS. There are a lot of other security agencies, especially those in the Ministry of Interior, customs, immigration, and prisons and all the rest. But mainly the one that I think the president should, restructure is the police. And we have a police service commission. We have I don't know if there's a ministry of police, but the police structure has been a big problem. It is unwieldy, and they are not many, but they are very, very unwieldy because they cannot cover the whole country. When it was formed, the country was very small. But right now, we've gone beyond 200 million people. And then they cannot meet up to it. They've not recruited to it. We are talking about state police. I don't know why people are worried or running away from it. They keep on saying, oh, governors are going to use it against their political opponents. But that's not the issue. If you are creating state police, and then you write out their boundaries and, of course, the kind of laws that they are going to, enforce, then they will do it. Even the federal police is being abused sometimes. So if we want state police, we write the laws for them, and then, of course, we will see that there should be some kind of mechanism that will have an oversight on them. So all the security agencies, I think, yes, I know they have to be restructured. The DSS, I think their own, I think basically is on training, and then of course training on new equipment, new technology. Otherwise, they are doing a very good job, but we should support them to make sure that they are up to, the global standard of intelligence agencies, including the NIA. So we have a lot to do. And I don't know about the NSCDC, which is also responsible for taking care of critical infrastructures. Are they really doing it? They are not, because we are spending trillions in hiring private military companies to be taking care of our pipelines. So what is going on? We have to order our priorities to make sure that all these things are aligned. There is where the management is too scattered when it comes to the security sector.
Sadly. Dr. Ofoyetan, do you agree that the Ministry of Police Affairs has been dormant? If you do, what has this dormancy cost the nation?
I think if you had asked me who is the minister in charge, I'm sure you would have been embarrassed, because like Dennis Amachree said, he said, I don't even know if there is. So if you had asked me who is the minister,
there is a minister.
I am going to. I'm going to tell you I don't know.
I don't know.
That's former Governor Gaydam.
Now of course you should understand the implication of what I'm saying. That's more or less to corroborate, the pose or the question you asked. That yes, for the Ministry of Police Affairs, we are not seeing what they are doing, and I think in a critical moment like this. Actually, this war against insurgency is a domestic affair, which ordinarily should be spearheaded by the police and the police formation. But if I have to do a little bit of defense for the police, I will say that government maybe unintentionally or intentionally had made the police irrelevant when it comes to counter-terrorism. Because it takes a lot of funding, it takes a lot of, capacity building to be able to make the police to be at the forefront of this battle. Is it the police we are talking about? This is 2025. As at the last time I checked, even their operational fund has not been released. Even their operational fund, as at the last time I checked, has not been released. So how will they be able to operate? The federal government should look at the issue of proper funding, kitting of the police. They are not going to use their salary to do some things. The Nigerian police does not have standard international shooting range. When I mean standard international shooting range. There is none in the country. Are they going to use their money to do that? The answer is no. So I think that the government itself must now be intentional about kitting, about empowering, about arming the police to be able to do the needful. If not so, we will just keep abusing the police, keep saying a lot of things about the police. They will keep quiet because they will not be able to come to the public to tell you and I their own challenges. But if the government is able to fund the military, the way it's funding the police, and even the police service and all the like, I'm sure that things will be different, because money is the driver of true security all over the world. The whole combination of our security budget in all security agencies combined together is not up to the security budget of a state in the US. I'm sure that the MON can bear me witness about Federal Republic of Nigeria as a whole. The whole budget is not up to, and I'm just being magnanimous by saying a state. I just don't want to say county or a local government. So if we look at it from that perspective, we will only but sympathize with the police. I'm not trying to defend them now as such, but I think that if we look inward as a professional, we must be true to some of this fact that if, as at the end of 2025, their operational fund has not been released by the Ministry of Finance, what do you want them to do, for goodness sake?
So, Dr. Ofoyetan,
So the government should be sincere to itself.
Based on this factor you've just raised, in what ways is national security weakened when the ministry is supposed to drive police policy is inactive because of inadequate funding?
You see, I cannot say that that becomes an absolute defense. Okay. Yes, because even while having identified that there are not enough funds, but the little that you have, I also expect that it is, operationally and judiciously used. Once that is done, but for the Ministry of Police Affairs, for me as a person, I don't see any relevance. It's duplication. You have the commission there, then you have the ministry there, and at the end of the day, you also have the police formation itself. Now we may deceive ourselves by saying that they have different functions. I think that the president should be, revolutionary as far as I'm concerned. Either collapse the commission into the ministry or remove the ministry entirely and let us just be called commission. At that point in time, then restructure it and fund it properly. That will help in their operational methodology and service delivery.
I'm forced to agree with you, Dr. Ofoyetan, especially when you also consider that the minister in charge appears absent from major security conversations nationally. But let me go back to Mr. Amachree. The president ordered the withdrawal of police officers working as protection officers for VIPs. And for the numbers, IGP Egbetokun says it's been able to withdraw just 11,665 out of over 100,000 police officers out there. It looks like compliance level has been poor, and I find it absurd the IGP Egbetokun is ordering the nationwide arrest of these police officers escorting VIPs. Is this saying he cannot account for the whereabouts of his men? Are police officers working on their own? What more must the presidency do to ensure full compliance, Mr. Amachree?
This deployment of mopoles has been bastardized. I'll call it gone for hire. Gone for hire. Anybody, if you have money, you can get 10 mopoles following you around. That's why you have Yahoo boys, all kinds of people, having mopoles, guarding them, following them all over the place. That has been bastardized. That is not the reason why these people were brought. That idea was originally from Pakistan, and during the First Republic, I think one of our ministers went down there, saw them and how they were operating. They were mainly for crowd control. Crowd control. They call them mobile police. And they brought them here, and they were a fighting force. The riot police. Some people call them riot police because they can, quell riots and all the rest. But what happened? People started using them as bodyguards. And then you find out that some of them are even used at home, in different homes, in different estates. All kinds of things were happening. So I don't think even the Inspector General of Police will know how many of them, are deployed to different places. Because now they are trying to retrieve them, and then, of course, they can't retrieve all of them. You find out that some of them are even given to oil industry, expatriates, managing directors to use airport runs and stuff like that. There are even diplomatic police that they are supposed to use. But I know they are not using them. Instead, they prefer the mopoles. And the mopoles will go there and then, of course, remain with some of these people for so long. I know that there are some VIPs who will even tell the police that they don't want to return them because they want to keep them with them. They are like family members now. Some of them cannot even go out without mopoles. So I don't see how the Inspector General of Police is going to retrieve all these people. He might make some concessions But if you have to protect VIPs in government, there are people that are supposed to do it. The DSS is protecting certain rank of politicians, including the president and governors, other ministers. Any other person who feels that he should be protected should, either use the Special Protection Unit, SPU they call them, or, like they said, the NSCDC. But again, the NSCDC people are not trained for protection.
Okay.
It is not just carrying gun and following somebody around. Executive protection is a specialty that people use in protecting VIPs. Many private companies in Nigeria have this particular specialty. They can go down and use them instead of, all seeking policemen to use long guns or AK-47 to following them around. After all, if you don't do it well, you're actually not protecting anybody. Look for those people who are trained in protection, and I think that's what we need.
All right. Sadly, because of time, I may not have to get Dr. Ofoyetan's take on that, but let's move on to other conversation. 19 northern governors and their traditional rulers have met in Kaduna State. Dr. Ofoyetan, can you hear me? The governors have announced the creation They have announced the creation of a regional security trust fund under the new arrangement. With that arrangement, each state will contribute 1 billion naira monthly to the fund, which will be used to procure equipment, enhance intelligence gathering, and support joint security operations. But sadly, this is not the first time northern governors would commit to a security trust fund. In the past, some have resisted long-term commitments. But now that there is a new commitment, how logical is this investment?
Well, it's not a bad idea.
Dr. Ofoyetan, it's not a bad idea when poverty, which is the biggest driver of insecurity, remains largely unresolved.
Well, I think the first thing is the preservation of life. If the life itself is extinct, whether it's poor or it's rich becomes irrelevant. Security, then of course, yes, I agree with you that sustenance is of utmost paramount. 1 billion naira in a month, that is 19 billion. What I will tell you emphatically is that they will not be able to sustain it. It is just, plain to the gallery. None of them will be able to sustain 1 billion every month for a year. Write it down. In another few months' time, let's look at how many of them had redeemed those pledges. That is one. And then secondly, too, is let us assume without conceding that they are able to raise 19 billion every month. What will that money be used for? Now, at the end of the day, it will also now become a product of EFCC. So if the northern governors are really serious about what we are talking about, what I expect them to do is to key into the agenda and the program of, the federal government as far as security is concerned, work with established security agencies. Even let's assume they have such money. The money should be executed in a manner that it helps security agencies and also help their own security in their state. Don't forget that this set of people we are talking about, they have not been faithful when it comes to the war against terrorism in this country. Most of the people that shout about killing and maiming and all those are Southerners, even though that it has not even gotten to the South as such. But it is the Southerners that are shouting about the killing of the Northerners there. What are the governors in the North been doing? How emphatic have they been when it comes to the shout against terrorism? Religion, politics, ethnicity, and nepotism have done what blinded their eyes about what was happening. Once it's not coming to their domain and it's not affecting their children, it's not affecting, their political career, they are definitely about it. If not the fact that Donald Trump is saying that attend to terrorism, if you don't attend to terrorism, then we would have to step in. Will they have been able to gather together to say they are donating 1 billion every month?
as far as I'm concerned, is just to pacify the moment. So it's not a matter of, because a lot of things are happening in the north now that they don't need 1 billion to attend to. Illegal mining, the headquarters of illegal mining is in the north. I don't want to mention nationals now, but you and I know all the nationals that are going to the north there to harness all the mineral resources, lithium, just name them. And unfortunately and painfully too, they will use our own security men as their VIP protector to go to those mining sites to and fro. Some of the governors, some of the top military officers, some of the executives in all these states are involved. And these are some of the reasons for security breaches in the north as a whole. So if they are talking about fighting terrorism and criminality in the north, the first thing first is the political will for them to do it, not this idea of contributing money from each of their states. They have power to do certain things. To what extent have they been able to? There are mining sites that should be closed. I have advocated today that federal government should take over all the mining sites in the country, because the mining site is one of the major catalysts for criminality, for terrorism in this country. And if government did not step in immediately, Democratic Republic of Congo will be a child's play, because Nigeria has 23 solid mineral resources at commercial quantity. And when we are talking about America, that we are talking about, has 24 solid mineral resources at commercial quantity. And look at what is happening in America. Relatively peaceful. America is about 2 times our population.
All right.
So
Thank you, Dr.
if we have
Ofoyetan.
this much mineral resources, for goodness sake, we should be able to look inward. Yes.
All right, Mr. Amachree, let me come back to you. What I mean is that most recruits for banditry and insurgency are young men with no jobs, no education, and no economic prospect. How effective can security funding be without parallel investment in human development? Can a security trust fund succeed if poverty levels in the north remain among the highest in the country?
I agree solidly with Dr. Ofoyetan that, these people should be able to donate the money. But there is one thing I really want to bring to the fore, and that is that 1 billion naira a month can be produced by these people. Remember, we've been having security funds running into billions that these people have been putting in their pockets.
Absolutely.
The governors, they've been putting it in their pockets. And of course, not saying anything. And like he said, there are, many of these governors, retired military officers who are complicit in the illegal mining business. The federal government should go ahead and take over all these places. And then, of course, use the same method they are using in the South-South to control the oil in controlling these solid minerals, because you cannot control them differently. The revenue should go into the national purse, and then, of course, if this situation is controlled, you were talking about the youths. Now, a lot of them are in IDP camps. They cannot go to their farms. The youthful population that are into farming are all in IDP camps. Some are being killed. But for those who are in IDP camps, if the situation is controlled, they can now come out. And then this security fund, I hope, is going to help in at least taking care of this situation. And if people start coming out, it will provide employment for the youths. It can allow people to go to school. And then, of course, they can get themselves occupied. Because, this problem, I think, I'm happy that the 19 state governors in the north have come together, including traditional rulers, because many of them felt that it is something to remove Jonathan from the office. But right now, they are feeling the pinch because most of the problem are affecting them. So I believe that they should now look at it very critically and then provide solutions. on how to stop this insurgency.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great conversation tonight. And for General Musa, I mean, he promised us the names of terrorism financiers, and some of us are looking forward to that. Thank you so much for your perspectives tonight. Dennis Amachree, Security Consultant, former Assistant Director, Department of State Security. Dr. Tony Ofoyetan, DG, International Institute of Professional Security. Thank you so much for your time. Please have a great evening.
Thank you.
And you too. Have a wonderful evening.
Right. And thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that the views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News NG.